mention that the organization is international. We talked to a person from Norway. Our next presenter comes from Australia. He works for the GeoSciences department. It's equivalent to the USGS in the United States. This is Tony Pack.
3.
Set your video.
No, I'm going off there first.
Okay.
Where's my slides?
I don't know.
Okay. Thanks, Leonard. Yeah, I'm from GeoScience Australia. We're the equivalent of the USGS in Australia. As such, our role is to help the community, governments at all levels, state, federal and local, make informed decisions about geoscience, geography and geology type applications. I'll just go straight into the demonstration now. Is this at... Yeah. Here we go. Okay. All right. What we've got here is a global 3D model. It's the as you can see, it's a model of the topology and the bathymetry, which is the seafloor of the world. This is how we prefer to see the world, from this angle. But this is a full global model of the world, as you can see. One of the nice things about X3D is that we're able to have multiple layers on here, and what I've got is a sublayer, which is what we call the moho. It's the boundary between the the solid crust, and the semi-molten mantle.
You can change the aspect ratio on your laptop.
Sorry.
Leave it.
Won't be a second.
You can let it go.
Let it go? Okay. Yeah, so what you can see here is the boundary between the crust and the mantle. One of the theories here is that the continents are actually floating on the molten mantle in a similar way to, say, how an iceberg might float in the ocean. So where you've got a lot of crust above the sea, or above the mantle, you've got a similar amount sort of sticking down into the mantle as well. Underneath most of the oceans, we've got about 5 kilometres of crust, and as you come around to look at most of the continents, it's about 20 to maybe 50 kilometres deep, and then underneath something like the Himalaya plateau in Tibet, it goes down to about 75 kilometres. One of the things to point out here is that I've got a 1 to 25 exaggeration. If you think about 75 kilometres as a depth on the scale of the Earth, I mean, the Earth is 6,400 kilometres in radius. That 74 kilometres is just over 1%. So if we didn't give any vertical exaggeration, we really wouldn't see anything here. And when you think about it, the mountains, the sea, it's really just a very, very tiny layer on the surface of the Earth. So we need to put that vertical exaggeration in. Just looking at some other layers here, I turn that back up. Whoops. What I've got here is an extended model of the earthquakes and the plates, the tectonic plates of the Earth. As you can see, looking around the Pacific Rim, for example, the red and green dots are volcanoes. And it's actually highlighting the ring of fire idea, that the most tectonic activity is happening where the tectonic plates are butting or going against each other. Can you see that reasonably well in there? Not so good. If I turn the volcanoes off, you can hopefully see there that I've got earthquakes in blue and red. The red ones are deep, so that they're actually deep down in the crust of the Earth. One thing to sort of point out here is that with a lot of the modelling, the Earth models that are around the place, they're doing just the surface of the Earth and above. So things like mapping, satellite imagery, mapping of buildings, modelling of buildings, those sort of things are all well and good. But as geologists and also bathymetrists, people talking about oceanographers, talking about the seabed, what's happening below the seabed, what's happening below the surface of the Earth, we actually need this depth. We need to get down there. And one indication of that is if you look at these earthquakes, they're happening quite deep in the Earth, maybe 100 kilometres. And the way that earthquakes work is we map the epicenter as being the place where that earthquake was first recorded on the surface of the Earth. The fact that that earthquake might be quite deep doesn't seem to come across in a lot of that mapping. But the importance of it is that as that earthquake expands, an earthquake is a time series. It doesn't just happen once at a point. It actually travels. And where that earthquake intersects with the surface of the Earth is where you'll get either a massive earthquake and damage on the Earth's surface or perhaps a tsunami being formed. And so we need to know not only where that earthquake is and how deep it is, but also how that relates back to the faults on the surface. And so something like this where you can see in 3D is along the way to helping us understand that geology a lot better. I'll just finish up by showing a quick animation. In September 2004, one of our scientists at GeoScience Australia did a simulation of the 1833 tsunami that happened off Sumatra. I've just shown up a historic record of various tsunamis that are around the place. This is actually a 2,000-year-old historical model of various tsunamis, and the way that we record that is by the date. This one is 1843, the location, Sumatra, the magnitude of that earthquake and the number of recorded run-ups. In this case, there was 3 run-ups. If I look forward to the Boxing Day tsunami in 26th of December 2004, that was a magnitude 9 earthquake, which we've coloured as red, and it had 718 recorded run-ups. Those were actual tsunamigenic inundations into a population centre or something like that. And that, sorry? Yeah, and that was all around the Indian Ocean. So just playing this animation, what Phil did was he simulated the 1833 tsunami, and this is the result of that animation. Now this is playing the red that you can see there is actually the crests of the wave, and the blue is the troughs of the wave. The red bits are maybe only about a metre high. It's just that between those two crests is a couple of 100 kilometres. That tsunami is travelling across the Indian Ocean at a speed roughly 900 kilometres an hour, so it's about the speed of a jumbo jet. And you can see here that wave is interacting with the seafloor, and it's being refracted and refracted around those events. And this is one of the things that was noticed in the Boxing Day tsunami, where people, for example, on the back of Madagascar got hit by the tsunami where they thought they were safe, and it was basically the waves refracting around and amplifying themselves on the back of the island. So this is just some of the examples of things that you can do in a geological context with X3D. And I'll finish with that.
Okay.
Thank you.